Hi, my name's Corinne Brad. Welcome to the Crafts channel. Today I want to show you how to make these really simple bowl covers so you can scrap the cling film in your kitchen forever. I've toyed with the idea of beeswax wraps, but actually I've found, for me, these are so easy. They're like a mini shower cap. They just slip over your bowl, and in all honesty, food doesn't really hang around long enough in my house for it to need to be covered. I don't tend to put the covers on microwavable stuff, I just clean the microwave afterwards. But they will fit most size bowls, like the chef bowls that you can get. They'll fit over here. I use them to cover my cat food bowl in the summer to stop the flies getting on it. And they're really easy to make. And I will show you just how easy. Get yourself some bright coloured fabric. And what you need to do is you need to place your two pieces right sides together. I haven't bothered ironing these because you don't need to iron them yet. And then if you get your bowl and you draw yourself a circle that has got about 4 or 5 centimetres bigger all the way round on the diameter, that will give you enough room for your turning and for your threading of elastic and then to cover the bowl. And simply draw around it with them pinned together so that you end up with, let me just put that to one side, 2 pieces of fabric like this. And the reason I tend to draw around my templates with a pencil is because it then gives you a really easy to follow stitching line. So if you set your stitch to about 3 millimetres long, start anywhere on the circle with a straight stitch, forwards and back, and then just whip around the outside like so. Now my seam allowance on this is variable, as you can see. That's because I'm going to trim it in a minute. The easiest way I found also to sew a nice continuous circle is to use this left hand as a pivot. So you let your feed dogs take the material through and your hand just turns the fabric in a nice smooth curve. And again, I'm going to stop about 4 centimetres away from where I started. A couple of locking stitches. So I've got something that I can turn my fabric out with. Oh, let's just put my pins away. Oh. And then if you grab yourself a pair of decent pinking shears, cut around the edge of your fabric close to the stitching line, but take care not to snip the stitching line. And the reason pinking shears are so good for this is because when you turn this inside out, this wider edge is going to be on the inside, and the zigzag of the pinking shears will make sure that you don't get too much bulk. So trim this all around. Like so. Chuck your rubbish in the bin. And this is another reason for not bothering to iron your fabric to start with, because when you turn your circle the right way round through the hole, it's going to get creased up and crumpled. There you go. And then use your thumb and forefinger to make sure that seam is turned out fully, and just lightly pin it around the outside. And you can make these bowl covers more or less in any size that is convenient to you. You've got a tolerance of about 4 or 5 centimetres difference in diameter, so you can make one average size bowl cover that will fit a big bowl with not very much overhang or a small bowl with quite a lot of overhang. A lot of it will depend on how tightly you thread your elastic in the next or final step. So we've done this, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to top stitch all the way around this, about 1 centimetre in from the seam. So I am going to lengthen my stitch length and pop this in the machine anywhere you like. And I'm going to use the very right hand edge of my presser foot as a guide to just whip round here. Trying very hard not to stab myself as I do so. And this time you don't need to leave a gap, because what you're doing is you're now creating a continuous channel to put your elastic through. So where my gap was here for turning, just make sure your raw edges are tucked in. Let's just cut my threads off so they don't get caught up. And join back up to where you started. Now it's at this point that it would be a good idea to iron your work so that effectively you have something. It was ironed and then I folded it in half. Now with these bowls covers, what I've done, I don't know if you can see, but there's a very slight matte oilcloth finish to these. There is a product out there called Coat that you paint on a thin coat of, leave it to dry for about an hour, and then put a sheet of greaseproof paper over the top of it and iron it and leave it to cool. When you peel it off, it makes a nice smooth waterproof coating, so that if you've got drips and runs and spills, they just wash off the fabric or roll off the fabric. I don't know for sure if it is food safe. It hasn't killed me yet, is all I can say, but it does give a nice finish, especially if you want something that you want to keep particularly fresh, not just to keep the flies off it, but actually to keep some moisture in. So you can do it with or without the Coat. This hasn't been coated, but now what you need to do is just create the elastic border. And I've got here a small safety pin, which I've knotted my elastic onto, and this is why you leave this open side open. Use it as a bodkin to carefully push and pull that safety pin through the channel that you've created on the edge of your bowl cover. Try and make sure as you do so that your safety pin doesn't come unpinned. Because you'll find yourself thinking, what the hell, why can't I get that through? And it's because you've actually stuck the pin into your fabric. And this is possibly the longest and most fiddly part of making these bowl covers. So what you could do, if you're going to make several of them, I suggest you make them all, iron them all, coat them if you want, and then hand the threading project to a teenage daughter who's got nothing better to do while you go and cook dinner. And also, and I know this from experience, make sure that you have knotted your elastic onto the safety pin really quite securely, because there's nothing worse than getting 5 centimetres from the end of your channel and it suddenly pings off the safety pin and you have to start all over again. Because that's never happened to us, has it? Let's just keep going. And you can do this with a bodkin if you have a blunt-ended bodkin. But because of the curve of the fabric, don't be tempted to use a pointed darning needle, because you will just end up keep going through the fabric. So here we are, back at the beginning, without any mishap. And then simply you see how tight I've tied this knot, can't you? I'm sorry. For speed, I'm going to have to waste 4 centimetres of elastic. Make sure that you hold both ends as you push the elastic around your miniature shower cap. And then really for a decent fit, what I'd suggest you do is pop it over an average size bowl that you're going to use. Like so. Oh, nearly lost it. And you don't want to tie it too tight, because then you'll find that it's really difficult to get on and off the bowl, especially if you've got a wide topped bowl. But just tie it. And I would tie it in a couple of reef knots for security. And also, when you trim your ends, don't trim close to the knot. You're asking for trouble if you do that, because it will just come undone very easily. And then just move your fabric around so that your knot gets hidden inside the channel. Pop the ends in. Oh, I need a pair of tweezers for this. Hold on. For some reason I can't get that knot to actually go. There you go. And then you can just slip stitch that gap closed for a neater finish. I'm not going to do that now because me and hand sewing under pressure is never good. But it just pops over the bowl like that. Or a smaller one. And they are completely reversible. So, you know, if you've got a picnic planned or you want to colour coordinate something particular, you can quite simply just flip them over. Use a darker colour fabric if you think you're going to put beetroot in a bowl, that kind of thing. Very easy to make. It should hopefully cut down your use of cling film and your use of you know, you won't be chucking any more plastic in the bin, thankfully. And they're just really handy, and they're really pretty as well as a kitchen item, just to keep there. Even if you keep dry goods in there, just pop a cover on it so it looks good. I hope you like that demonstration. We will be back again. We've got some more great ideas for you. We've always got some great ideas for you. But until the next time, thank you very much for watching. If you've been inspired to create, please share your makes with us in the comments section below. And if you've enjoyed videos by the Crafts channel, hit the like button. Want to see more of us? Then click subscribe. See you next time.